Hi, and welcome to Friendship, Wellness, and Wisdom with Heather. And
Rachel.
this week is our sixth episode. We are going to do Getting to Know Us. Since we've been friends for a lifetime, we're going to ask each other questions and hopefully entertain you and entertain ourselves for sure, because we don't know we don't know what each other's going to say. So this should be great.
Even when we plan it, you never know what's going to come out when we just start talking. So
those are facts. Those are facts.
True statements.
All right.
All right. So thank you for joining us again. Like Heather said, this is episode 6. So I'm going to ask you guys before we get started to please like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so you can see when we put out new content. Also, we'd love to hear what you have to say. So please comment, let us know what it is that you'd like to see or hear from us, or what you already liked and enjoyed, so that we can give you more of that. So with that, we're going to get started. And I guess we're going to start with the questions that I had for Heather, and I think we're going to go back and forth and both answer them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, you could tell we planned this out like tremendously, but we did. We put in effort, I swear. We formulated questions, we sent them back and forth to each other, just kind of like an interview. So, welcome to the Tonight Show. We're your guest hosts, Heather and Rachel, and we've got some questions for each other. So
nice.
All right. So question number 1 that I have for you is, what is one trait that the other person, so like Rachel, always brings out in you that you don't normally, doesn't really show around other people? So
uncontrollable laughing. There are so many times that I just start laughing, and then you laugh, and then I laugh, and then it's just contagious. We're just laughing for no apparent reason. And vice versa. Like, you're laughing and I'm like, why are you laughing? And you're like, I don't know. And so I just think it's like really like like a kid joy.
Yeah.
That you bring out in me. So it's just our connection throughout the years. And so it's just like this kid in me.
Yeah. I feel like too, one thing I see us bring out in each other, and good or bad, we always laugh through it, but we can get a little vicious, and sometimes like the sarcasm just, I mean, I'm sarcastic without you, but when we're together, it brings this boldness out in me that I don't often have around everyone. Like, there's just level of comfort and confidence that it can get a little out of hand at times. I'm not gonna lie. And then sometimes I need to hide behind Heather, because I'm like, I need protection, because my mouth starts to write checks that like I could not cash. So
I like you spicy. I like it spicy.
So I get very, very, and I get extra spicy. Like,
you
spicy.
You go from jalapeno to maybe habanero.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. So there's question number 1. Question number 2. Is there an activity that we used to do together that you still do now?
Watching movies. So movies and stand-up comedy. Stand-up comedy. Oh my God, yes. That one just popped into my head. But whenever things were not copacetic, I just remember us getting like hot fries and things that should not go together in food, and eating them.
Chocolate covered donuts and hot fries.
And eating them and watching a movie. And like, by the time the movie was over, and whatever we were feeling or whatever was done. And so to this day, I revisit those movies. And I revisit that stand-up comedy. So whenever I'm not feeling centered or like myself, I revert back to like that piece, and then I just could kind of like escape, and then I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's not so bad,
Mm-hmm.
So how about you?
Okay, so I will do something like that from time to time, but more often than not, I will just get in the car
Mm,
and go for a drive and
nice.
like crank up,
I do that too.
something that, we used to have our ACDC, like was our
Mm-hmm.
morning music on the way to school. And we'd
Mm-hmm.
like put the cassette tape in because
Yeah.
we're that many years old
And
and just sing like,
fix it
and
with the
just sing
pencil.
really, really. Oh God, yes, I remember that.
I
But yeah,
think
that's
I think it ate it.
absolutely. But I will do that. I will get in the car and I will just crank the radio sometimes and just sing as
I love
loud as
that.
I
Mhm.
can. And just, it's such a great release. And then it makes me remember all the times that we would like have nothing to do and we would just get in the car and put in like our favorite, like full length, like cassettes that we like
Mhm.
the entire
Yeah.
thing of and just listen to the whole thing and just scream the words out like on the top of our lungs. And we knew most of them, but some of them we sang the wrong words to anyway, and we sang them really, really loud, and we would just like it was just the most fun thing ever. So that is something I will still do sometimes on
Do
my
you
own when I
do
just need that
you
like
do you still sing to people at red lights?
I do actually. That's really funny. So
I do.
if I catch someone looking at me instead of
Yes.
stopping,
Yes.
sometimes I just look over and I actually get even more animated with it. So, and I'm like, now I left that person either very like happy or very confused. Like, I don't
What
know
is
what's
going
going on
on?
with the person and
Yes.
why.
I still do that
So,
too.
especially first thing in the morning, like that's just
Hmm.
like you really want, like you literally can make someone's day doing that, or
Yes, totally.
really
Totally.
use them. But all right, so moving on. All right, we're getting lost. All right. What is the biggest change in the other person that you've noticed over the years? So, like, how do you think that I have changed mainly over the years?
So, besides the obvious of getting older, having kids, being a mom, blah, blah, blah,
Mhm.
you are so much calmer than when we were kids. um, I like you have done like so much work just to kind of like center yourself. And so I see that in you. I see that um just that you trying to be structured and things like that. I think when we were younger, you kind of allowed moment to moment to get to you. And
Yeah.
now you're just kind of very mindful of where you're at and what's going on in your life and things like that. So that's really good. That's a beautiful growth to see in you.
Thank you.
You're
That's so sweet.
welcome.
So I think with you, what I've seen the most is you've really channeled like a lot of your extra energy of which you have much into your art, your creation, and again into your mindfulness because I think a lot of it when we were kids went into some very fascinating and creative
Hmm.
storytelling.
Yes,
And
totally.
you would just like we would go out and people would ask questions and you would just make stuff up and I don't know where you pulled it out and it was so believable. And I mean, it would, as outlandish as it was, you could literally just convince people that this crazy thing you just made up was real. Like, and like you'd have, and I'd be like, oh no, she means it. Like, I was there. I couldn't believe you. And I really seen you like over the years, like take all of that creativity and just put it into
Mm.
into like tangible things instead of these just like outlandish stories, which I loved, by the way. But you never lost any of it. You just like transferred it over to like all
Right.
your beautiful creations. So
I just remember us being, I think we were at Odyssey. Was it Odyssey, that dance club?
obsessions,
Obsessions.
obsessions. It was
And I
obsessions. Yeah,
remember
yeah.
us being there and being up, getting a drink, and the person came up to us, and I just started chatting, and you were just like, what is she talking about? And I'm like, right, Rachel? And you're like, yeah. And he was like, okay, goodbye. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Like,
going to go
I
away
didn't
now.
even know what you said half the time. I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah,
I
she's
was
fine.
like, it was good deflection. And
Absolutely. I mean,
yeah,
it kept people away that when we didn't want to be bothered. If we were there to dance and like to have fun, and
that's awesome.
we didn't need an intrusion on that. Sometimes it was fun, but other times, you're just I'm in a zone. You
And
need
then
to
you would
back
get
off.
scared if the people would stick around. You were like, you're supposed to be going away now.
Yeah, like what is wrong with you that you're staying here after this?
Oh
Like,
my god. Oh, that's too funny.
I mean, it made you wonder about some people
Yeah.
because like they
Yes.
were like intrigued by the I'm like,
By the
okay,
craziness.
who likes yeah, like no. You should be running. Be
Yeah.
scared.
You are my red flag right now.
Okay, so that was what's changed. So now, what is something that never seems to change about the other person? Like, what is their most consistent trait over the years?
I think your most consistent trait is that you're emotionally charged. You know what I mean? And which
That's
is
a very nice way of putting that. Thank you for your kindness.
but the reality is you're an in the moment person, but and you're still emotionally charged, but now you kind of have like you are not so reactionary. You know what I mean? So, but you
I do.
still you still have the
Like,
emotion, like you really still feel things like right there, like you are like, oh no, you didn't, or oh yes, you did, whatever. Uh, but you definitely are emotionally charged in the moment, and yeah, so I think that's still you. That's who you are.
so I'm gonna go with you. I mean, I always found you to be like completely like fearless in being yourself.
Mm.
And you never made any apologies for that. You just always took everything and put it right out there. And you're like, what, love me, hate me, whatever. This is what you're getting. And I feel like that's never changed. And that's something I hope never changes about you because it's one of the things I love the most about you.
Well, thank you,
So you're
thank you.
welcome. All right. I think I've got one more. All right.
Mhm.
So, what has kept you connected over the years? Like, so what do you think it is that has kept us connected all
Besides the
this time?
phone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the obvious, right? The phone, the internet,
Letters. I
cosmic consciousness. Oh, sorry.
there you go. I think what has kept us connected is just how, for me, it's how much I love you. Honestly, like you are your family. We have been through so much together, good, bad, and indifferent, and we are so genuinely ourselves with each other. And I think that the reality is that it is hard once you get older, it's harder to make those connections,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Because when you're a kid, you kind of connect and play and whatever. But you and I have always had this, if you want to call it a cosmic connection. The reality is we've always had this connection, even when we had a group of friends that we were playing with. You and I would always go off and do our own thing. Be
Yeah.
creative, tell stories, play, just do what we do. And so I just think that that is what connects us, the feeling of home with each other.
Yeah. I don't think I could have said that better. I mean, I think that's just really there. I am probably I'm so comfortable with you. Like I feel like just safe to say whatever
Mhm.
I'm feeling, whatever I'm thinking, even if like that may change.
Yeah.
Because it's just that, like it's just that thought. And you can't always share that with everyone because they take it personally or there's something and that's one thing on like it's like home. I can come talk to you and just let all of like the dirty laundry like just fall and hit the floor and you'll sort through it with me and be like, okay, well, here's what's salvageable, here's what we're tossing, And here are the pants that I cut a giant hole in because I could see your ass through them and you can no longer wear them again. So, because you remember when you did that? Yeah. Okay. So
I asked you so many times. You were like, this guy keeps hitting on me. I'm like, you have pants that they can see through. Stop it. Stop wearing those
and
pants.
yeah,
You're
and I
like,
was like,
well, they're
but
commenting on my pants. I'm like, we're not wearing them anymore.
I think you made a mask out of them. I'm pretty sure you cut the cheeks out and put them on your head. I had forgotten about that until, this just came up. So it's going to be mascara. Just right. We're going to look like Alice Cooper, but we're going to look like Alice Cooper by the end of this. So
that is
for those of you who know who Alice Cooper is. So.
Oh my God.
All right. Hysterical. So those are my questions. So now it's your turn.
Oh, I snorted. I just snorted. I'm laughing so hard. Stop. Okay. What's one thing about each of you that the other truly finds remarkable and inspiring, and why?
Okay. So I think I kind of touched on this before, but I just am always amazed at how comfortable you are, or at least like seem. But I mean, I really feel that you are like just being yourself. And I find that remarkable because as much as there are like traits and things that I do love about myself, I always like wonder if like it's kind of offensive to someone else or off-putting or whatever. And which is funny because I won't change any of that. But I'm just like, I still get concerned that I might be like offending someone else, but I really have no plan of doing. And you're just so unapologetic about it. And I'm like, I would really like, because I'm refusing to change any of these things, I'd love to have that quality. I'm like, I'd like to feel like I don't have to apologize for it because I'm just this like, lovable asshole. So.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it's just I find that.
I absolutely love that you're like, I'm not going to change it, but I worry that I'm offending you, but I'm not going to change what I'm doing.
I'm not changing it, but it bothers me that it might bother you. So like, I love that your whole, like, just, this is what you're getting. And there's no qualms about it. Yeah. So
I'm like crying. I'm crying. Stop it. Ooh, okay. So my, inspiration quality of you is going to be like something super quirky and funny.
Okay.
So I absolutely love that you want to be prepared for everything. I was so inspired.
That's not quirky. That's like deeply inground. Like,
wait.
Oh, there's more. But wait, there's more.
There's more. So I find it so wonderful because you're like, whatever we do. And this is even when we were little, it was like, whatever we were doing, you're like, well, what's the plan? And how are we going to do it? And And I was never like that plan person. No. So I'm inspired to be that plan person. But the other thing that I absolutely love is that you're a plan person. And at the end, it's still like, I'm not ready. I'm still not ready. I'm still not ready. And it's just like, I just love that quirkiness about it because I love how much you plan. I love how conscious you are of like, I want to be organized and I want to do this. But at the end of the day, you're still like, I don't know where the organization went. And it's there, but you just don't see it. And so I do aspire to be more of a planner.
Yeah, because it's worked out so well for me, clearly. So. Alrighty.
I do like that. I do like that you plan, though.
You have really good intentions. Follow through, not so much, but your intention is beautiful.
I love your spirit. I love your organization spirit.
Your spirit of organization. So, like, if you could actually make that a tangible thing, that would be great.
Yes, I love your organizational spirit. It's like your spirit animal. Oh. So, share a memorable adventure or misadventure you've experienced together that tells the story of your friendship and in the early years.
So, well, I mean, we can go way, way back, but I mean, I feel like most of our misadventures didn't really happen until I mean, I guess they were for like 8-year-olds. We had some misadventures, right? Um, and I actually thought about this. And I'm sure your dad will remember. We were supposed to go, like, and this has totally changed. We did talk about this one. We were supposed to go to the movies. And I was leaving, and your dad didn't know where you were. And in a very roundabout way, he was like basically telling me, he gave me a story and why he was looking for you and what he needed you to do. And I was like, well, I'm going to meet her here and then we're going to the movies. But what he wanted to happen was for me to tell you you couldn't go to the movies and go home. But he didn't directly say that. And I was like, we were like 9 or 10. Like, so unless you tell me exactly what it is you want me to do, I'm 10. I want to go to the movies. I'm meeting my friend. I don't want to go to the movies by myself. You didn't tell me directly to say you can't go to the movies, go home. So I found you, like I was walking and you met me like halfway and we went to the movies. Because again, like no one really, like you gotta be direct. So we went to the movies and we did have a really good time. And then
we saw Cloak and Dagger.
Is that what? Oh, I think you're right. We did see Cloak and Dagger.
Mm-hmm. It was Cloak and Dagger.
Henry Thomas and Dabney Coleman.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So and then we got back and and we got back and you got in trouble. And you were really mad at me. I really did. Like I felt bad because I just thought your dad wanted me to tell you to go home afterwards and that you had stuff to do. Like I really didn't understand. And luckily, like you didn't stay mad at me after that. But like that was one of our very earliest misadventures because I'm like, yeah, I told you your dad was looking for you. And I relayed what I really thought was his intent. But I was very, very wrong. And then you got in trouble. And like
I think I got punished
just because I was selfish.
Yeah.
I felt really bad for that, but I'm so glad we saw that movie. Like, I wouldn't have seen it without you. So
yeah, and I think it was.
I think that was one of the early misadventures. So,
and I think it was a 3D movie, wasn't it?
That wasn't in 3D. We went to go see. What did we see in 3D? We saw one of the Friday the 13th in 3D. So I don't know which time it was that we went to see that, but like if it was a 3D movie, I think we saw whatever. Friday the 13th
Bloomfield Center.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
that's awesome.
All right. What about you? What's one of your misadventure memories?
So many. We have the adventure of going down the shore and not having a place to stay.
Yeah.
That was a misadventure. We had the misadventure of the hotel party and coming back, and that was one of the
scariest moments of my life, hands down.
That was horrible. We had you getting pulled over when you first started to drive and not knowing you needed to be pulled over in the right lane.
I kind of knew, but I panicked. I panicked.
Yeah.
And, it wasn't fair. I wasn't really driving in the left lane for that long. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, the cop was super young. I'm pretty sure he just saw like 2 young girls and thought he was just going to have like a lot of fun because who gets pulled over? It was in the evening. I was getting from one road to the other and the exit was in the left lane. And those were the directions that I got. And I'm like, who gets pulled over for that? Unless you're driving, like you're in the left lane and you're driving under the speed limit or you're like racing past. Who gets pulled over for driving in the left lane for too long?
We were probably just being obnoxious in the car. That's probably what was going on.
Probably.
We were probably just being obnoxious.
Hey, yeah, he's like, hey, they're kind of cute and I'm kind of bored. So
and they're being obnoxious in the car.
Right, but honestly, he didn't give us a ticket. Like he literally just told me not to do that again, and we went on our merry way. So
yes. So, but there's so many more. Parking the Jeep in a driveway to not get caught for doing donuts in the field,
which we got caught for anyway.
Where they pulled in right behind us.
Yeah. So yeah, we were clever, huh?
And, So, all right, let's move on
So
because
many.
we could go on forever, really.
We could. So let's not do
Um,
that. So next.
okay, so reflect on a time when you both faced a major challenge or obstacle and how your friendship helped navigate through it.
Wow. There's just so many. I don't even know where to begin. All of the drama, like through school,
Mm-hmm.
through breakups, through just like, I mean, and there are some really major ones that I don't even want to bring
Mm-hmm.
up or like kind of relive. Um, so I think I'm just gonna kind of go with saying that like even throughout like through the years, whether we've been in contact
Mm-hmm.
or far apart, no matter like what level of difficulty I've ever been facing, like I know that I can come to you, I can let you know what's going on, and that like we'll kind of run the gamut of
Mm-hmm.
like the emotions.
Right.
We'll laugh, we'll cry, and then we can kind of reason through all that. But there's like just I feel like there's just too many huge life events that we went through together to pick one. I'm just glad that I had you to be there. When I needed someone to just kind of like share like my darkest, ugliest, like scariest thoughts. And
For me, I think that you and your family really helped me through childhood, just in general, just like all encompassing. Um, you guys were a much different family than what I lived in. Not, you know, it was just different. It was just a different life. And so I did use your house as like a sanctuary even as I got older. And, you know, it was just pretty awesome that we made the connection when we were younger. And as we got older, the different things that we went through in life and whatever they were, right? Like you said, breakups and all kinds of things. I just think that it was really comforting to know that if we weren't in contact for a while, I could
mhm,
pick up the phone and call you. Or I could, it didn't matter what time it was. It didn't matter what day it was. It didn't matter how far into whatever my life, wherever my life was. I could pick up the phone and call you. And so that was, it, it really just really showed the bond that we have. We could not talk for a really long time and something go down and we could call each other, you know? And there have been times where, which was really cool, that you either were going through hard times or I was going through hard times and we flew out to see each other.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, okay, we're here. Like we're physically here and we got each other. And so, yeah.
That's a nice thing to that's such a nice thing to have.
Describe your favorite activity or tradition that you always enjoyed doing together and why it holds such a significant space in your friendship.
Okay. So, there were so many things that we did. And I did describe like one that I still do now, which was like just getting in the car
Mm-hmm.
and just cranking up the radio and just singing. But I'm gonna go back to when we were like even just a little bit younger. It would just be so much fun because we didn't have phones back then, and there was no like Instagram, and there
Mm-hmm.
was no. So we'd go get these like little disposable cameras, or if
Mm-hmm.
we happened to have a camera that we got for Christmas or whatever, and we'd go buy film, and we would spend afternoons like just going through the closet and making all these outfits up and putting on hats and like finding like crazy jewelry and just taking like we just take the whole roll of film and just kind of see where it went. Like so sometimes we'd be inside and we'd do dress up, or sometimes we'd go like find a spot in the park,
Mm-hmm.
or like we'd go walk somewhere and we would just spend the day like using up a roll of film. And then you didn't get it back right away, so you couldn't
Mm-mm.
delete anything. So you got what you got, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you get what you get and you don't get upset,
Yeah.
right? So then you'd have to like take the film to get it developed.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd have to wait like a week to get your pictures. And like sometimes they'd all just come out and it'd just be like one big blur, like all the it'd look like
Yeah.
that big thing back there right over your face.
half your face, just an eye.
Yeah, and it's like, sometimes you got like 3 pictures, and but you had that whole day
Mm-hmm.
to just like do that and take those pictures. And I'm like, so it's kind of like what kids are doing now on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
But we really had to work. We had to work for those, and then you'd get like a board, and you'd make like a board of all your favorite pictures to like hang up in your room,
Mm-hmm.
or like inside your locker. Like
Yeah,
you put like
the
your
locker.
pictures on the inside of your locker for
the
like
locker was covered.
So that was like one of the fun things I really like loved doing, that we would do. Like we'd have nothing to do for the day, and like a roll of film wasn't that much, and a lot of times you had to wait to get it developed because you spent your money on the film, and then you'd have money to like pay to get the pictures. Yep. So sometimes they'd sit there for a while, but that was like such a fun thing that we kind of always went back to doing. Like we did it like tons of times over the years. We have so many pictures.
Yes.
Yes. And I'm really glad for that. Like some actual physical pictures.
Yes, totally. That's so cool.
So definitely, yeah.
Let's see. Activities or traditions. I think one of the things that was very significant in our friendship has always been music, but we used to put on concerts. When we were younger, we would open up your garage and we would put a blanket up and we would hold concerts for people in the neighborhood.
It's so funny because like until you had brought that up, I had forgotten that was something that we did. Like I almost kind of forgot like going into that garage. I remember the garage at my other house, like when we moved, but I like almost forgot because like that one was like when they were both detached and it was like at the end of the driveway. And it's just so funny that you brought that up because it like really brought back like so many memories of.
And you had like a crazy long driveway.
Yeah.
And I remember we would set up the bouncers, the bikes, and kids would sit on the bouncers and the bikes.
Yeah.
As as they watched the concert. And then we would also, because I was a storyteller, we also wrote stories and I told stories. And and so that is very significant in our friendship because it helped me with my creativity. And I think that it brought you out of your shell with your creativity.
Yeah, I was always so self-conscious about.
Yeah, and you were like, well, what if they don't like it? I'm like, who cares? I'm like, are we having fun?
Which is I think the biggest part of like, why we connected so well. I was always like, okay, well, we kind of got to stay within these lines. And you're like, okay, these lines.
I was what lines? What lines?
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. No, you'd say these lines, and then you'd be like, oh, you thought there were lines? No, there's no lines.
No, there's no lines.
Oh, did I say that there would be? I'm so sorry. I was misinformed. Guess we're just gonna have to deal with it.
They were made with chalk, and then it rained, and they got washed away.
And then they were gone. All right. So,
our very last question is: if you could use one word to describe your friendship, what would it be, and why does that word resonate with both of you?
I feel like just, like lifelong. I mean, we've been friends since we were 8 and, we're still great friends now. And I don't see any reason for us not to be in the future. We've gone through so much stuff together. That it would be hard to imagine anything that could just, make that stop. So yeah, I feel like, just like lifelong, like you're my lifelong friend, you're my soulmate, like, and just, I feel like that will just always, actually, I know that we will always be connected no matter what happens.
Right.
So.
Right. I'm going to bring it back to it. It feels like home, right? When I'm with you, I'm home. I'm my, I'm uh, my kid, my kid self, my inner child. And so like, it's just that, it's comfortable. It's home. And so,
Nice.
yeah. And so, with that, we are going to end our podcast. Thank you all for listening. I hope you had a wonderful time getting to know us. And we'll be back next week.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye.